When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Good evening, my friends and family. Good evening, good evening. We're listening and watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean. This is Make We Talk. I was supposed to have some very good guests tonight to come on to speak about are our children safe? And to speak about the Integrity Commission Code of Ethics for Parliamentarians. But one of the main guests who's supposed to come on is having some difficulties in the land of wood and water in our country, Jamaica, where I get to understand JPS has been having a lot of load shedding for a couple of days now. So, I said to myself, it will be very disrespectful not to come on and speak to some of our viewers who are on, my loyal viewers who are on, and I must say thank you all for being so loyal to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares program. Thank you very, very much for coming on. I don't know if we're going to have anyone to come on this evening. But if not, we'll just say a few words and I will schedule this for tomorrow or some other time. I know tomorrow at 11 a.m. Jamaica time, 12 noon US time, I will be speaking to the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Lloyd B. Smith, re the National Integrity Commission Code of Ethics for Parliamentarians. He will be my special guest tomorrow on the Make We Talk Tuesdays on Roots FM and also on this channel. So I know I'll be having a program tomorrow, but for this evening, we won't be having the scheduled program that we're supposed to have for this evening because there is issues in our main guest who is supposed to come on. I think, two persons to come on from Jamaica, and there's issues for them, with them coming on because of the whole light issue with the Jamaica Public Service Company. So that's what we're facing this evening here. Wilfred Rattigan can't come on either because he has so many legal work doing. But I intend to speak to you about where do we see this nation of ours going? I see we're in the leader of the People's National Party, Mr. Mark Golding, obviously is on a campaign mood. And he has to start to show the people of Jamaica that he has the capability of taking over this great nation of ours. Because if we don't see any sight at the end of the tunnel, then God help this country of ours. And whether we are PNP or JLP, we need to stand up for this piece of rock. We need to stand up for this piece of rock of ours. If an election should call tomorrow morning, is the People's National Party ready to lead the people of this country? Or is it that the party that is in will go back in? Let me not use the word that I really want to use. Because there's a word that I want to use, but I better be careful not to use that word. I better be very careful not to use that word. Because if you use certain words, people take it a different angle. But despite everything, is the People's National Party ready to take over Jamaica? Is the People's National Party ready to lead these people out of the despair that we're in? The turn on the future of our country, the babies of our country, they have turned on them. Which heartless person who don't have any heart could take a baby, an 80-year-old baby, and slit her throat? For what reason? And if they catch that person must sit in prison and name taxpayers' money. Not him eat. Name taxpayers' money. And get a little slip on the wrist, a little sentence. Now if I was a judge, if I was a judge, anybody come in front of me who commit crime like those, they get no time for name taxpayers' money. And I keep on saying this in this country, until they resume hanging in this country, the crime pandemic we face in Jamaica will never stop. I see wherein a friend of mine sent me a message that the light where they are, there's no light, there's no JPS. So the two guests that I have from Jamaica supposed to come on, can't come on because JPS decided to turn off the light. Not even turn off, turn off. Anyway. Is it that we must continue living in a country where the crime and violence is out of whack, and yet our leaders and former leaders are having big summit at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs building downtown Kingston on Haiti? There's an old Jamaican saying you must clean your yard before you go abroad. I am not saying that they shouldn't try and assist our sister island, because what is going on in our sister island is affecting us in Jamaica. But are they going to have a summit on Jamaica's crime pandemic? Former Prime Minister Golding and Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The question must be asked this evening. Are you all going to have a summit on Jamaica's crime pandemic? Not a quick fix, because you all have been using the state of public emergency as a quick fix. Are we going to have a summit? where Kerry come in and try and have a summit on solving Jamaica's crime pandemic. It makes no sense for us to be trying to solve a sister island crime pandemic when this crime pandemic in our country is getting out of work. How on earth can you look at a baby who's 8 years old? What kind of heart you have? What kind of heart that person has to take an 8-year-old child and slit her throat and left her to dead? What kind of country are we living in? What a brutal and barbaric act. What kind of nation are we truly living in? Are we living in a country where we don't have any heart for each other? I have godchildren, and I have nieces and nephews who I love dearly, and my cousins. I have 2 beautiful goddaughters, a Rema and a Sheikah. And I'm telling you that if, God forbid, anything should happen to them, I don't know how to take it. The former Speaker of the House of Representatives one time said, not the former Speaker, lie. I'm talking about Senator Lambert Brown once said that if anybody should do any of his kids anything, he'll be taking up jungle justice. Is it that we must take up jungle justice in this country? What can an 8-year-old child do to a grown ass woman or man? For you to have the heart to slit that little child's throat. Something is fundamentally wrong in this country, And we have a tendency of this 9-day talk. When something happens, we have a 9-day talk in this country. We must stop it. I want to ask the people of our country, my fellow Jamaicans, both home and abroad, can you honestly say this country is leading in the right direction? Huh? Can you honestly say this nation of ours is leading in a right direction? I want you to answer me. Who is in the chat room who can answer, Can you honestly tell me that this country of ours, this nation that we call home, that we love so much, can you say that Jamaica is going down or leading in the right direction? When a nation cannot secure its children, something is fundamentally wrong with the governing of this country. When a nation cannot secure the future of tomorrow, something is wrong somewhere. And when you have a prime minister who only can give a press release and condemning the brutal murder of this baby, and that's all he can do, but yet you're not having a summit on to solve another nation crime problem. Huh? We're having big summit. Who paying for the summit at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade? Is it the Jamaican taxpayers paying for it? Or is it CARICOM that is paying for it? That's the question we must ask ourselves. I hope I can get my good friend Sir Luke George to come on. We having big summit in this country. Big summit of the Vum-Vavan, the Vum-Vavi of CARICOM. While our children are dying day by day in this country. And you hear nothing from the female members of parliament in parliament. On both sides of the fence. They don't feel belly pain bringing up in the country, in the world. Huh? What kind of heart can this person have? Tell me, what kind of heart can an individual have to look at a baby? An 8-year-old is a baby, you know. And when you hear the mother speak about her daughter, I'm not a father, but I'm a godfather. Something move within you. Something move within you. My God Almighty. When will the crime pandemic stop in this country? When will the people of this country get justice? When will Donnelly Donaldson's mother get justice? When will the other women and men in this country get justice from the justice system in this country? When? And all you can hear is my condolence to this and my condolence to that. Welcome to my good friend, Sir Luke George. Luke, welcome to the program.
Evening, Mr. Tavares, to you and your audience, to your listeners. How are you?
I am good, you know, Luke, but I am hurting within. What kind of heart can a person have to hold an 8-year-old baby and split the pin in throat?
There is a lot. There is a lot to be. There's a lot for us to take in. I was just before I came on, I was having a similar discussion. I'm a little bit surprised that somebody could have picked up the child at school and the school cannot identify maybe who this person is. There should be a standard policy as to who is allowed to take up a child. And if your name is not on the list of adults that are approved to take up the child, then you shouldn't. And the speculation that is going on in the social media is not helping the situation much, because people must remember that their parents are grieving the death of this child. I'd like to commend the soldier who was willing to, who saw the child and rendered assistance. And so she was able to live a couple more days. But but the country is in a crisis, and at the heart of the crisis, our children are feeling the prong of it. Um, this is not something new. We remember that the Ananda Dean alert was started when Ananda Dean was taken, raped, and her throat also slashed and was thrown over a ditch. And the man search for her went on for several days. Also, it has not drawn the sort of national attention that is needed, that we need to we don't need to just talk, but we need to have what is called school patrol officers, whereby you have within location of a school persons who are patrolling to ensure. Tell him I'll call him back. That they're patrolling to see, and we need to have a special branch of the police force that is assigned. Especially now, we could raise a red flag for this school and other schools that children are targeted. But at the heart of it, Jeffrey, it speaks volume to the people who continue to carry out this barbaric act and just not having the surveillance. So whereas we are moving towards a republic, we should be removed. We should be putting up cameras in school location that we can see who and what is moving in the location, so that we are able to move a little bit faster, or certainly by now have an idea of who these perpetrators are who carry out this barbaric act. But it's a sad day. And as I said, I'm not waiting on parliamentarian. I'm waiting on the nation to respond, because parliamentarians are concerned with razor pay, not with the death of the innocent child. And it's not them that I'm waiting on. It's what we can do, and it has to be collective security for surety. So if it is if it is if it is a situation where we can carpool and we do that, we should look now at introducing a school bus that can pick up children and have drop off, or we have safe programs or after school programs,
But
and
look,
we
George,
guarantee.
look, sorry to cut you like that. And I know but how is it so ironic that Jamaica is hosting a summit in Jamaica of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade about standing our sister island crime pandemic? When we in this country, you don't hear nothing from the government or the former prime minister. We having a summit in this country to solve our crime pandemic in Jamaica. You hear nothing from them. But yet we can organize. I'm not saying I shouldn't do it. But my grandmother always tell me, you have to learn to dance a yard before you go abroad. And our people are facing a fundamental problem in this country. And the problem is crime.
But again, Mr. Tavares, my simple response to that is that it is time that we take it away from the responsibility from the government. The government of Jamaica has demonstrated time and time again that they have very little interest in what happened to the citizenry of this country, and we have afforded them private security. Their children are picked up by drivers. Their children are very secure. And so it is us, the people. We are to take back our powers from the elected people, and within our own communities, within our own citizens association, we need to look at these because Jamaica don't have a crime plan that all the citizens can say yes. We know that that these things are in place to ensure the safety of all citizens. There was a very damning report coming out of the travel advisor, one of these travel advisors that said, these are things that people must look out for while they are on vacation in Jamaica. And one of it is that one of the things that were highlighted in the 10 things is that while Jamaica is an attractive island, you constantly have to look behind you, and you have to look behind you because there is a real and present danger that are facing the Jamaican people. So Jeffrey, they can talk, but again, there is a shrine down at the corner of Church Street and Tower Street that was
Yes, I know it.
erected in memory of children like the 8-year-old that we're talking about. And let me, before I go any further, I don't want to just express my condolence. I'd like to express my outrage, absolute outrage at what has happened to this wonderful, promising child. We don't know what her contribution would have been in the future, but to have been cut down by the hands of somebody that is vicious, it also draw sharp attention to the fact that outside of just the horrific violent crime, Jamaica is also experiencing serious actions of demonic nature. And some people might ridicule it when one of the former security ministers said that we need divine intervention. Because here's what is true. Whether you are Muslim, whether you are Buddhist, whether you are Christian, the Bible did tell us that the time shall come when mankind will do some horrific things. And these are blood sacrifices sometimes. These are people who have carried vendetta, and our children are not excluded
You know,
from the actions of these murderers.
you know,
So I am
remember
neither
what you're
up.
gonna say, Lou. Remember what you're gonna say, Lou. Remember, please remember what you're gonna say. I have to say this. I have two beautiful goddaughters, a Rema and a Sheikah. And I love them dearly. I remember one New Year's Eve night, I was in church, and they both of them came and stood on my lap. And somebody said to me, Mr. Tavares, that's your daughters. I was like, no. The way how they're all over me. And I am trying to understand how on earth can you look at an 8-year-old baby and slit the child's throat? What kind of heart do you have?
But that's what I'm telling you, Jeffrey. There is not an. Let me tell you, the crime in Jamaica have gotten to the stage that it is now local, and nobody is exempt. And there are people in Jamaica who practice very horrific crimes, and they get away with it because we don't have an active investigating body, and sometimes our security force lack the resources to deliver the sort of swift concise justice that is needed. there are people in Jamaica who are taking all forms of drugs, and there are those who have serious mental health issues. There are those that are very affixed to the cult. Last week Friday, I was at home and I noticed a number that was calling me, and it was an overseas number.
Uh-huh.
And I answered because I figured that it might have been somebody that was trying to reach me from overseas. And on the other end of the call was a Nigerian voodoo doctor who was offering me the opportunity he says, oh, in the astronomy of my path, he came across me. He came across my number and me in astronomy, and that I need to offer a blood sacrifice because I am supposed to be rich untold. So
Oh
I
yeah.
said to him, as I said, the only blood sacrifice I'd like to offer now, if you could slit your throat and then let somebody call me to tell me when it has happened, then that is the sacrifice I'm willing to offer. But I have seen Jamaica descend into an abyss where people will do anything, Jeffrey, to enrich themselves.
Oh yes.
And to ask the question, why an 8-year-old will be excluded? We have become a people without a soul. And it is the greed and self-centeredness that is driving part of this. Outside of that, it is the spiritual and demonic activities that are taking place. And largely, we are seeing more and more of our young people now, Jeffrey, wanting to get into these occult because they believe it is going to deliver to them um, the finances and the backing and the influence and the power. You have a lot of young men who are who are taking again the when you look at the funeral home and you saw that they were buying the embalm fluid, where I hear that once they take this embalm fluid, it's almost like a tranquilizer. It's a high form of addictive drugs, but you will kill your mother at that point and have no remorse. What we need to do again as a community, it has to be collective security for surety. We have to have you have a high volume of unemployed people in Jamaica who you could invest in what is called a school patrol officer, and the person is vested with a vest, but are trained to be on the ball, look who comes, familiarize yourself with who do the drop off, who do the pick up. You are in bus park, you are ensuring that children are taking buses that are suitable, not the ones that the windows are blocked out and so forth. But it's not a time for us to sit by as citizens and of the country and talk about the government. And
Yes.
this is where one famous American president, I think it was JFK, who says, ask not what your country can do for you, but rather what you can do for your country.
And on
The
that note,
males, the
on that
males
note,
in this country have to take a stand, because oftentimes women have children but they don't have fathers. You must have an
yes.
older relative. You must have an older relative. You must encourage all of us to see every child as our own children,
Right.
and we can
Uh,
form ourselves into
we,
a,
we,
a
we,
group.
we have another guest on our platform here. Just make your point. I'm gonna go to the other guest, Mr. Steve Hessin. He's a transport operator. He just joined
Okay,
us. Mhm.
right. You can form yourself into a protective group once you have been vetted that you should be around children and you don't have deviant behavior where children are concerned. But I'm not waiting on the government. Have you ever heard a government minister losing their child or a government minister's family being murdered? So you see, gunmen in this country, they are cowards. They can only fight poor people. They fight the people who oftentimes can't defend themselves. And that is why the coward or the cowards who did this, you have to go back to the blind student at UA to this day. When you hear people talk about how she was in a particular community and she was a sex slave, and so they wouldn't return her, they had to finish her off. And you're saying to yourself, here it is that the government is refusing the help of the international community and saying that they have enough, but do you? And so this is where you have to build out a bigger platform. But I'll allow Mr. Hessen to come in here, where you bring all the law agencies, the security agencies together with citizens, and we form a big committee on how we can put down some serious recommendation as to things that we can do. And I said, stop spending the money on consultation on constitution reform. Not that is not important, but put cameras in public spaces that at least we can track. More cameras in public spaces, including schools, where we can track movements and we could identify car, clothing, and location, because you could track the vehicle going from point A to point B. Sad day, but I can tell you, we're gonna come back to this, Jeffrey. I'm telling you, I'm done with the talking. If we're not going to become a country of action, then we're done with the talking. Because as your grandmother would have tell you, 9 days talk and then it's just another person who is killed.
Hold a minute for me there. Steve Hessen. Mr. Hessen, come on in. Your views on what happened with that 80-year-old.
Good night, Jeff, on the panel.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. We're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, good night, you on the panel. Jeff, when I sit back and look on it, there is no government person come out and say nothing about it because it's a poor person child. If it was one of them rich friends, they might have come out and say that the police must find who do it and all of these things. But it's sad to know that we reach a stage where you cannot send your kids to school and have all hopes that them coming back home safe. It is sad to say. And we live into a country where the rich people have all the opportunity and the poor have none. Because into one of these rich guys who live in above Cherry Garden and all of the Golden Triangle, them have security and who drop them kids to school and who pick them up. Certain school, when you go to pick up a child, you have to sign and you have to this and that. But when you think about a school like Brayton, where it is a poor set of people go there, and when school over, everybody come out of class. Some people come out to take a bus, some come out to take a taxi, some walk it home, and all of these things. So when you sit down and analyze it, the poor always leave behind. All these things always happen to a poor set of people because we have nobody to call up to. There is nobody we can depend on. The only person we can depend on is some of our close friends or some of our close neighbor. It is sad to know we live into a country where it's come like a dog and hog and anything. Believe it, it's so painful. And if you look back on the mirror, this is not the first time. We have several going on and nobody get nothing about it. Nobody know about it. Police them come out and them talk 9 days, and after that it's like water on a bridge because a poor people thing. But if it was a rich people thing, a different story.
I want to play a video for you and Luke George to watch. That today I literally tears literally come to my eyes when I hear this lady. Listen to this video.
God, I can't eat. I feel it in my belly. Oh my God. Oh, feel it in my belly. I feel it in my belly. Mighty God. Jesus! Cover your children. Mighty God. This man and I can't feel like eating nothing.
Good morning, everyone.
That was a video from the school where the 8-year-old was attending. And when you hear that woman crying out for her belly, I'm trying to find out if the women who sit in the House of Parliament, what happened to them? What happened to a Juliet Holness, Anne-Marie Vaz, the Speaker of the House, and all those women who sit in the House of Parliament? What is going on?
Jeffrey, I wouldn't, again, you see, I've never thought that parliamentarian care one iota about anybody. Tomorrow, maybe as a public outcry, you will have somebody or from both houses come out and speak about it. But it has to go beyond that. And I'm not going to make it, I don't want it to be a gender thing where women must come out. Men in this country need to recognize that we have a responsibility to protect all our children, not ours, just our individual children, but all our children. And just as how we are always up in arms about different groups of people in the society, we should spend our time effectively policing our community and ensuring that children are protected. When we have this discussion and we talk about parliamentarian, they came out in the strong support of our pay increase. But the core issues that are affecting us, crime, health, education, creation of wealth, the environment and global warming, you don't even have a plan from your own member of parliament that takes each of these and said, this is what we're doing. Please participate and register your opinion or become a member of a committee. In 5 years, in the next 2 years, the parliamentarians will come back to you for your vote. And you should now use this as a benchmark to say, if you run out of space on the national plaque for children that are victims of violence, it means that you have failed because you have failed to protect the future of this country. Hence, I don't think you're suitable, and you look for somebody in your community, through your community citizen association, somebody who has been steadfast in trying to create programs and plans that is to deal exactly with these issues. Once upon a time, it was the village who raised the child. We now have people who will go to school and beat other people's children because they feel that their child was offended by that person. So while I cannot tell you not to call on the women of this country, I'm calling on every well-thinking Jamaica. She belongs to all of us, both home and abroad. And so it should start with a 7 days activity against violence against children, starting at Brayton, where the wider community stands with them and said, look, we will have a summit here in Jamaica and in other spaces, and we will bring the best of mind in terms of bringing all the security force with community groups, and we look at the whole situation of what protection means. So in Jamaica, you have roughly 15,000 registered person in the army, and maybe an additional 4,000 for the National Reserve. You have roughly 15,000 men and women in the police force. You have the private security company. So about 70,000 persons in the society are licensed firearm holders with a private licensed firearm. And so it is a discussion that must be had as to how you can assist in ensuring the security of your students. And this is something that should have been led by the Parent Teachers Association and not by the government. The government has demonstrated unapologetically that self-interest and that of big donors are secured. The only time we heard a similar atrocity, and we're in recent time, was the child who suffered from autism in Montego Bay, that bizarre case that it never, and then we heard how that ended. But it is a cry that we must put children on at the center of the decision making, and we must also use it as an opportunity to provide assistance to vulnerable groups, because children with disabilities are being raped, sexually assaulted, physically assaulted. You saw the video that went viral of the young man in school who was having oral sex with the mentally challenged. You hear now that mentally challenged people go to the hospital and they are sexually assaulted. There are a number of reports of children in the children home that are sexually assaulted. And what it requires is really that on every children home you should have community and civil society being represented on the board to ensure that we are keeping them on their toes. We are ensuring that we are protecting our children, even in state-run facility. Collective security for surety, Jeffrey, not the government. That's not the interest. Them get them 200%. And Miss Flynn, Miss Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, who trace off her supporters and tell them all sorts of expletive. Don't expect to see her taken to the street. Angela Brown-Burke, who is a vociferous advocate, don't expect to see them. It's not sexy, Jeffrey. That's not what they're about. So it is the citizens who must come up with a 7-day action plan against violence against children, disabled, women, men, everybody. And that discussion must now take place on every street corner, in every nook, in every cranny, because we have to recognize that we are our brother's keeper. That's who we were as Jamaican. That's not who we are now. Because again, is this going to be another victim, or is this a call for us to respond to duty's call and to take the bull by its horn to ensure that we do make sure that children are in groups. We have groups, we have people who have WhatsApp group, and if we have a driver like my friend Steve Hesed on there, that once he drops them off, the group is notified that 7 children were picked up at Brayton. They talk about the poor. I am not going to say that Steve is not don't have a valid point. In every country, the poor pays more. If you have looked at the tribal politics spanning from the 70s to present, it is oftentimes why we have what is called garrison community. Garrison mothers have buried more of their sons and daughters more than anybody else in this country.
Mhm.
But it's not talk time, it's action, and it can be done. Increase more cameras in public space. You have a lot of unemployed person who can provide this basic service of being a school warden, who ensure that children, when they are picked up, they can note who are picking up children. If they see somebody that they might not know, it raises a red flag, and the person start to do the background check
Let,
immediately.
let me ask this question to Steve Hessin and yourself. Mr. Hessin, unmute your mic.
Yeah.
I heard Luke George said something a while ago. It's a very big point that he has made. That when you pick up 8 students or 10 students from Britain, it is an app coming and say, listen, a Steve Hessin license plate number XQYZ has picked up XQYZ from Britain. You are a part of the One Voice taxi group. Now this is happening. Have you all ever thought of having an app like that?
Yes, Jeff, because there is an app like that in Jamaica already. Because
Yes.
there is a company named Uncle Sam, right? Them pick up a lot of students from most high school in Kingston and carry them go in St. Catherine, all over in St. Catherine. And when them go and pick up the children from the school, everybody sign. Say, okay, 10 person I pick up from the school here, I sign, them board the bus. When they reach them destination, when they reach home, them sign it, you know, say, okay, John Tom come off, Harry come off, Mary come off. So there is up like that, and the parents can stay in their workplace and know, say, okay, the child come off at home and them know, say, them entered inside and those things. So we have up in Jamaica doing that now. But Jeffrey, costly. It's very costly. Because me and you know, say, gas and all of these things in Jamaica very costly. I have some parents who just from hand to mouth, right? Them getting money while government say they must get it 13,500 minimum raise. And them have them light, them have them water, them have them rent to pay, all of these things. Think about a single parent, a single mother, have 2 kids going to school, and she hardly can find food to give them. Much more to put them on a bus that is about her limit. So because of that, we struggle. If it was some country, them have school bus free and those things. Jamaica don't do those things.
If I remember at one point, I'm Minister of Transportation. I think Luke can come in and tell me if this is so. Was it Mike Henry was calling for a school bus system throughout Jamaica? Or was it somebody else?
Yeah, it was Mike Henry. To his credit, yes, he was always one of the more forward-thinking one in terms of child protection and what needed to be done. And the PMP at one point also, under the PJ Patterson administration, wanted to institute it. But when you looked at the cost to do it and who would have absorbed the cost, it didn't pan out because the figures weren't balancing. And so, again, as I said, a priority of the government.
George, hold on there, George. They can spend nearly $8 billion of taxpayers' money into JUTC, who is not making no profit whatsoever, and to secure our children. It don't pencil out to them. I don't
Jeffrey,
understand.
Jeffrey, again, this is where the voters in Jamaica have to make sure that when they one man, one vote, same man, same vote, that they are getting value for money. Here's what is true. It could be cost sharing between, as my friend Steve said, we have to take into consideration that at the end of the barrel is the alarming number of poor persons who might be doing the lower hanging fruit jobs, domestic helpers, store clerks, and so forth. And they may have sometime in they may have two or three children. Now, again, this is where a country that value its children, just as how NCB jumped in and said they will pay for at least four CXC subjects for students who are sitting the exam. Other corporate entity could do this as part of their civic responsibility. And this is where the private sector, the Manufacturer Association, the Jamaica producers, and all of these people can sit down and they can cost it and have this being offered to parents, and that is covered by them. But what happened when you see private persons go into assist government? Look at what happened at the Children's Hospital, where this is the only hospital in the English-speaking country that serves the poor. Now, Shaggy decided that he wanted to adopt the hospital because he wanted to spend his time and effort providing support for the men and women who have to use this facility. If you have ever been at the Children's Hospital, there's nowhere, it is oftentimes in need of repairs and equipment. And as a parent, if you ever had a child go in there in the night or in the day, you spend long hours but no support. You're there for the entire day, you're hungry, and the night come and you're hungry. And this is where I salute the Jamaican women, and I also will use this medium to say to them, choose fathers for children who want children, not just people who want sex, because it's always the women without the support of the men. And Father's Day, Sunday, we like to call men who are not fathers gelding and tell them why they must produce a child, but we never talk about the responsibility that goes with producing children. And Shaggy took on this initiative, and the Governor General wanted to charge him money for parking for an initiative that the Governor General himself should have seen himself as the patron and don't think of even asking for $1. Shaggy went in and specifically said, look, how this general funds in government work, we tend to have too much lean for people to take. So here's what I want you to do. Identify what are your most critical needs. Get me the invoice, I get you what it is. And you start a row that you go put the man in the paper. And you're going to make the man look like him and Rebecca and their children are ciphering off the money. And who suffers? The Jamaican people. But who got up in insurrection and said to the minister, go answer to the charge of why you pay a woman money to do PR? It is alleged. And we didn't get any value for money. It is alleged. And yet still now, you're not even a proper adult that you have now gone into external marital affair when Anthony Weiner in the United States of America could have lift up his shirt and show a minor not to leave the Congress. So it is the double standard that kills us in this country. And there is a clear as day that you don't care about the people. I'll tell you two other incidents that we heard that happened. Peter Bunting was in Portland and went to some place,
Yeah. Some
and
hotel.
the computer. So me now call it in because I tell you I already say a board house me live in. I say, you know, I met them, but no, my board house. The computer goes missing. Peter got it back. Pernell Charles' daughter's house was broken into, and lots of items might have been taken from that house, it is alleged. But within 3 days, it was returned after calls were made in certain quarters, and the responsive was effective. So there is a lot of double standard when it comes to the people who vote to elect their leaders. And this is why it should not be vested to the leadership of Jamaica to deliver anything for the Jamaican people, because them put themselves first and we trickle down at the disease experience. We have to name the crumbs that fall from them table. Big man have the money, some have the talk. Some people live in shacks while other people live in autocrat. So the Vumvava and the Vumvavim don't have this problem. And this is why it becomes the village who must respond. And when you have empowered yourself enough to recognize that if this guy don't care about me, I go and make sure say no, that I have a vote, same man, same vote, and I'm not taking 3,000, I'm not taking 2,000, I'm not taking $5,000 with the plate of curry goat and white rice. So me get 1 cup of rice and 3 pieces of meat, me can count the bone them in my plate and a bottle of rum. I'm not selling out my vote. The Jamaican children are waiting for us to stand up for them, Jeffrey.
Yes. Steve and Luke. I'm not aware. I don't know if you all are aware. Loop News is Loop News rather is saying that another child has been abducted in the same area where the 8-year-old was abducted. In the same area.
Jeffrey, do you know, have you ever heard the Ananda alerts of how many children go missing daily in this country? And one of the things that as one of the people who was there when Betty and Blaine, it was after the shooting at Greenwich Town that Betty and Blaine and I were traveling back to her restaurant at the Fish Place. And we thought that we had to do something. And I remember she called in Carol Narcisse, Elaine Wint Leslie, and other community leaders, and we would have robust discussion at her restaurant until what you now have as the Ananda alert was spearheaded by Blaine and the rest of us. But one of the things I've always criticized them to say is that once you hear the child go missing and you listen to the response of the adults in the spaces, is that, oh, our man, yeah, chigan, oh, him they just want to rub out him, man, oh, and it's always in the negative.
All because it don't happen to them. So they will continue saying that.
But it also goes to show as a country that we do not pay enough attention to the overall development of a child. And so when children start to show deviant behavior, we label them and we box them.
Yes.
And they have to live within these walls of stigma. And if every day you get up on me and you can only criticize me, then why do I need to aspire in your eyes to anything? After all, I'll never be anything. So again, it's a national conversation that we need to have. We need to look at creating.
Let's get Steve a chance to come in, Luke. Steve.
Yeah.
You're a man who has children. What do you recommend right now to try and secure our children of Jamaica? Is it that we have to get tracking device put on the persons or what?
Jeff, You see, in Jamaica, you have some people say it's a failed state that our people them what we look up to feel us most miserable. And when you analyze it, we can think about trucker, we can think about all of these things. But how many persons in Jamaica can't provide all of those security?
Can afford it, yes.
A rich person, like what my big brother said, look on children hospital. When Shaggy going to spend him money, a person them who come out and cry out and say them want the money to spend. It's a rich set of people them. Which if them kids take sick, them can fly them out of the country. It's the same person them cry out and say, no, give us the money because we want it to put in our pocket. Leave children hospital alone. When the poor go there, who dead, who come back out alive, come back out alive. But the same person them, tomorrow morning, one of them son and daughter took sick. Miami, New York, anything. So we have this big problem in Jamaica. It is like them split a wall. The rich over here and the poor over here. When you're poor and you cannot afford certain things, you must stay poor. And the politicians them abuse the same thing too. Because politicians them when election time, them go in and garrison them. As my big brother said, take out them 2,000, 3,000, them rum and them drink. And everybody laugh. After election, you never see them back. The road in the same area never fixed. Some people in Kingston and St. Andrews don't have an inside bathroom. 5, 10 people using the same bathroom. All of these things. So because all of these things, it is so obvious showing us that the rich guys them live in the Golden Triangle era. The poor people live in the ghetto or garrison. So that split between us is very hard.
Yes.
I have 2 daughters, right? One at 12 and one at 13. And just believe it, it's costly to know, say, okay, you have to put them on a vehicle, pick them up at home, drop them at school, a vehicle pick them up from school, drop them back at home. So when you live into a country where the money what you don't have, but you have to try to spend that money just to protect your family and make you have a good peace of mind, it's very hard.
Yes.
We know people call us and say, okay, we know keys on a flower spot. Drop my daughter home. Take a key. Put them inside. Lock them in. A lot of parents do that. And when you check it out, Jeff, some of them hardly can find it. Sometimes we hear some of them cry. Believe me, you want to collect your money from them or you don't want to collect it. Because you cry while them crying. Sometimes you yourself cry too.
I see wearing something just came into my phone a while ago. Gunmen invade White House. White Horse's police station. Are we becoming the next Haiti?
Yeah, last night them invaded.
So what is going? Look, George, is it that gunmen has no respect anymore? That the high power that the police gun is going to invade it?
Jeffrey, as I said, I value the opinion of other people because it's part of what I understand to be tolerant. I don't make certain prediction because to make it, it means that I as a Jamaican have failed and I have the responsibility to continue the fight in my corner to influence how people around me think and behave. But as part of what is happening, there has been a breakdown in the system for law and order. And you have people who are emboldened by the recent scamming activity, the people who went into hard drugs in the 80s, who did not need to depend on their rich counterpart anymore, but feel as if that they have ascribed unto themselves a certain amount of power, and they don't have anything to live for. You have different. If you listen to the gang name, Fatherless Crew, Gaza and Gully. It just seems like these people are constantly at war. They have not decided a strategy as to what it is that they are standing for. They create havoc and rape community of resources, both physical and economic resources. But for me to sit here and say my country is becoming like Haiti, we have a robust democracy, and people need to understand that the only reason why evil is so pervasive is because good people do nothing about it. In Haiti recently, you saw the Asian killing gangs in their area because they felt that they were stifling the growth and of that. I am not supporting bloodletting of any kind. I believe like Gandhi, I believe like Luther King, I believe like Garvey. Samsha, who probably in the end had to retaliate, but said, I rather die on yonder gallows than remain a slave. That it is true community in re-engagement, real engagement, not go down there with the talk shop business, but real engagement, where everybody have a whistle. Everybody knows that them for draw them two part cover when them see certain things are going on. And from me start knock, everybody have to knock. If you live in this perpetual state of fear, you are going to deliver yourself to those who are oppressive in nature. People only take root in places where they recognize that people are in a perpetual state of fear. It is because I'm not so fearful, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that I speak on your program, and this is something that is out there in social media. And a boy might book say, yeah, you're man look out pan way. And me go out there and before you know it. But I rather die for something that sit and do absolutely nothing. But it has to go back to how community respond to this emerging overall crisis of watching our children be killed. Don't wait until it happened to you. Like that woman, feel the belly pain as a man and woman in the society that this child could related to me somehow, and that the child is related to me through our universal family, and respond accordingly to ensure that we are looking out for children, we are protecting them in ways that we can. So whether you want to form again the children patrol officer, we can pay these people to do the job, train them. We have enough people looking work. We can have children patrol officer in many communities. And I commend some communities that have taken a stand against children abuse when there were parents in some of the inner city communities that were going around at night and ensuring that children are inside their home. Bear in mind that sometimes some of the very predators are inside those homes, and the reason why the child is out there in the street is because they are trying to escape the abuse that they feel inside. But this is to treat with children who are experiencing trauma, where you have the psychologist and the counselor and the security and the pastor and the community reps who says to this child, come now, we're going to stand with you. This is where you have a military group who we're not fighting war with any external country. We have an internal fight, but you're going to use your military and pray to God that they too are not predators of children. But you can create secure facilities where children can be taken out of their home and they're not being abused. And you employ house mothers and house fathers and caregivers who will see to their overall well-being and help them to develop their talents so that they can become productive Jamaicans.
But George, some may argue, or let me do it a different way. If an election should call tomorrow morning, what is the Jamaican people really voting for? Are they voting for party?
Well, look,
Are they
look,
voting for a better Jamaica?
there is
Look
a
at
story that
previous.
illustrates how the Jamaican, there is a story that best illustrates how the voters of Jamaica vote. There's a story of a man who is coming from the grocery and he sees a dog on a veranda sitting below the lap of his owner. And I'm not calling anybody dog, so please, me know when you go up in on the feelings or the like for come say, this is what me said, but listen to what me I said. There's a nail that is piercing into the dog's skin. The concerned neighbor says to the owner, can you not see that the nail is piercing the dog? And the owner replies, when it is hurting him or she enough, they will get up, and that is when I will be able to remedy. The Jamaican voters continue to believe the lies that are told to them by the elected representative that they care. The campaign was prosperity and progress. Now, the Bible in Proverbs says, when the wicked rule, the people suffer. When the righteous rule, the people rejoice. Can the Jamaican people say that they are rejoicing right now? But yet still, like Potiphar's wife, they will sell their vote for a pot of porridge and damn their children to eternal poverty without saying to themselves one time, everybody is getting a payday. This is the only way we are going to get a payday. We are going to elect people who think about us, who care about our well-being, who care about our children. Mr. Tavares, them don't need no more evidence. Every hospital that poor people use is overrun, are in poor condition, and you are treated poorly. So when I say public sector workers should not get any raise up here, I make no apologize. I don't make no apology to anybody. Yes, some teachers to get paid. I mean, believes that it should be salary based on performance. You should have something as an indicator that says this teacher is producing, be it as it may. If I'm going to say so, I have to create the balance to say that you must have children that are ready for learning. After the COVID virus, them say 700 picnic did not return to school. Did you hear the government said that they have found out the whereabouts of those 700 children? Children are not a priority. They are hoping that they will turn up at 18, get a voter's card, go on the voters list, and then will vote.
But
they are voters.
But Luke, if you have a minister of education, come in here, Steve Essen. If you have a minister of education who I'm trying to figure out, with all due respect to her, she does not fit to be in that job. The woman doesn't have. I don't know what word to use. But to be honest, she's the worst minister of education in the history of this country. Steve,
you know, I wouldn't say that. Before Steve speak, Jeffrey, that's not true. And let me tell you why it's not true. Early childhood education sets the foundation for a child's academic attainment. They are the lowest pay, and the qualification to become an early childhood educator is you must do a hard certification in early childhood education, and you must go up to a level 3. It's not a teaching diploma or a teaching degree, right? And you pay those people from the ministry, I think they get something like 40,000, and when you have done the extraction from that, they probably get 36. And if they work for a church school who oftentimes beat up on them, or they work for a school that is formed by somebody else, they have to depend on the tuition fee that oftentimes is not paid, the lunch money that is not paid, and they're expected to give quality contact time, and they have large classrooms. And so the Early Childhood Commission in its policy document set out that you must have 2 of these teachers in the classroom. Now, from PMP time, I know the PMP like to say, oh, Michael Manley led the revolution on free education in Jamaica. Well, shame on you, PJ. Shame on you, Portia. Shame on you, Bruce. Shame on you, Shara. Because if that is true, that we care deeply about the children of this country, I would want to think that you would have your best teachers starting at the early childhood with the resources and the salary to match to ensure that during those development years, the children are getting the best possible start, because by and large, all of us can be scammer, all of us can be DJ. See where the country has descended to now. When the young girl them come up and them not have no sort of education or skill, them turn to topless. So every party you go now, you see these women showing leg and breast. So
Leg,
this
breast,
is
and
where
thigh.
the country, and then leg, breast, and thigh, and the government had the gall to say they were going to tax prostitute. Well, if I was one of them women there, I would have a few choice words to say to them. When one PMP minister was seen in a club getting a proper lap dance, and he said that he has to know what was happening in that club. Minister, come on. I don't even go to the club and I know what is happening there. But if you, Jeffrey Tavares, walk down Ripon Road, from the top of Ripon Road to Eureka Road, it is as bare as you dare. And that is when you know that a country is being managed but not run. That people have to lose their own self-dignity in order to put food on their table. While the few get 200%, and Nigel Clark, as brilliant as he is, I won't compare myself to Nigel Brilliant, but if that is what brilliance look like, then I will keep my ignorance. I will hold on to my own.
Steve?
Yes, Jeffrey. You know, my grandparents are also from Noah Billy Ark. These 2 parties inside government, and nobody cares about the poor. And I believe as a new party come up, UIC,
Them not
and I
good.
believe sometimes you can give somebody else a chance to see how much them going on.
Them no better barrel, no better herring. Them is the
Yeah,
same thing as the PNP and the
but
JLP.
Jeff, right now, the PMP and the JP, them reach a stage where them stuck.
Let me ask you a question, Stevenson.
Yeah.
The UIC has been around since 2013. And you're telling me until now, the president of the UIC, Mr. Joseph Patterson, can I tell the people of this country his slate of candidates for the next general election, if one should call?
But he has gone about it wrong, Jeffrey. You don't need a slate of candidates. You need to identify the marginal seats. Look, PMP has been losing their support of about 100, whether it's a million or 100. I have to go back and ask for the actual figure and show you. There is 150 PMP that has not voted in the last 2 elections. The JLP has 400 and about 68 and other part of numbers that has voted consistently over the last couple of elections. While PMP has lost a big part of their support because of the insult that our former female prime minister endured when our own colleagues came out and talked about how uneducated and unattractive. And let me tell you something, Jeffrey. For all the horrible things that have been said about Portia Simpson, Lucretia Miller, one thing you must say is that she served, and the poor was of the opinion that that was one person on both sides of the political fence that cared about them.
Yes.
Yes, they held their nose at her and snapped her. Women were particularly cruel to her. And when them talk about men and how men are, our testosterone makes us into bully and feel like we're always right. Have you ever heard when a woman go to dissect another woman, how fear testosterone make her so tribal? They didn't build Portia. They didn't build the idea. What you hear from our own supporter, the KD Knight, the Lisa Hanna, the Sharon A. Webster, the Peter Phillips. Oh, she did done. Have you ever looked at who are your supporters and say how um or that the majority of people who support you, them can't put two words together. But when them are representing, like the woman who said, every day I'm going to look for Ranity, them say I'm in a cabinet, one day I'm going to turn break front. That was a big piece of line. That don't play that did that
Look,
that did big.
Look, I'm asking the question tonight, and I'm asking Steve this question too. If the president of the UIC cannot tell the people of this country how he's been funded, who are his candidates, what is his manifesto, you go on the UIC website, and something that is on the manifesto is unbelievable. Not only that, he came on a program with Wilfred Rattigan and myself and Wayne Lonesome and said to us that he will not apply for any paper to go and demonstrate. And you're the one who want to become prime minister of this country? So
exactly.
in other words,
ego goes walking before.
In other words, he wants to run a lawless nation then. Because if he don't respect the law of the land, then something is wrong. I know, maybe I'm wrong to say this, I don't know.
So you can't, well, you can't say it. I mean, his ego has got the best of him. But one of the problem with a lot of third party is that they invest too much time in trying to get all 63 seats when they should really focus on getting one. If you can get, when that guy Pottinger had run the water to the community by using his own resource and touching pipes to the dam and getting it into the community, he became the first independent councillor in modern times as we know it. But outside of the UIC, this is where I'm saying to Steve, people must look in their communities and see people who are doing a lot of development work. And let me tell you, Jeffrey, there are a lot of people in Jamaica. And this is why I'm now starting the Unsung Hero, recognizing people. I wanted to do it every month, but I don't have that financial support. Recognizing people and telling their story and helping to create an awareness that not everybody is dependent on politics, not everybody is sitting in their communities and not doing anything. And so you should put those people's name on the ballot. You should encourage them to run and to galvanize the support using grassroots support. Every $100 to support, I'm going to say this, your candidate, Luke George Cooke for MP. I hope when you go out there with it, I'm only saying you must look for people who have an interest not for self gratification, but who has a general interest in community and support those people. So the UIC, like many other parties, like the NDM, you're going to try to get all of this money, but you should go after those marginal seeds. And you should not go after it just by talking to people. You should go in there and invest. And even if you don't win, the investment is there to say the people chose investment over the same lies that have been repeated to them over and over. And again, if you remember what I said about the acronym POUR, it's passing over opportunity repeatedly.
Steve.
Yes, boss.
I heard the president of the transport of the sustainable services stands at a UIC conference or town or whatever meeting in the heart of Halfway Tree campaigning.
Saturday evening.
Yes, he's campaigning for us. He does
Me ask him the same thing because I tell him say him try PMP and him fail him. And him try Labour right and him fail him because he used to campaign manager for Ardishaw, you know.
Yes.
And him fail him. So he might look a seat on the UIC. But the thing what I was looking on and my big brother here up in my eye towards it. That if you're going to be a president or anything, you're supposed to walk the hills and valley. Find out the people them who really doing something in the neighborhood. So you can say, okay, that person doing something, can I work with that person? That person is a stand-up person in the neighborhood. People respect him and those things, so you can try to work with that person. But you know, in Jamaica, what I see, everybody going after a rich and a famous. Yeah, this person rich, so we're going to use him. That person, you understand? And the person who in our neighborhood who doing a really groundwork. Most people don't look on that person.
Let us switch gear. We're gonna come off here anytime soon. Because I see my friend Luke drawing for his cup of coffee. Let me switch gear. What happened to you?
Yeah, I'm begging a cup. I'm begging a cup of coffee. I haven't slept since last night. So yeah. Yeah, really. But Jeffrey, them thing about them, these things trouble me because you know, going back to my little sister, this is not a country that cares anymore. This is not a country that cares. Once upon a time, we would have all taken to the street. But I'm not asking for us just to take to the street. You can come up with a 7 days action plan. Starting with prayer, then the consultation, identifying the problems, looking at the solution, identifying the solution and implementing it. I don't know how many of us still have citizens associations. We must be able to account for all the children in our community, the schools that they go to. We must be able to identify the police, the community police in working with citizens. We must be able to look at what is happening in areas where we see a large amount of abuse taking place of children. Jamaicans have to come out of the mindset that if you see a child being abused by their own family, you hear of children getting burned and people know that that child is beaten every day. And we turn a blind eye because we say, it's not my business. So when the country becomes this, you have to also recognize that you played your part by remaining silent. You know, it is all of us have to take that collective security for surety. You hear when the 81-year-old woman was raped and her throat slashed, and you just say, what possessed the demon? And this is when I call on people who have lost their moral compass. The women who wash out the bloody shirt. The women who visit them in prison. The men who send the money from abroad to buy the gun. The DJs who support badmanism. So you have to return my shoes or you're going to get killed.
Are this damn nonsense? Or this damn nonsense, put the AK over the wall, and put the AK over the wall. Listen to me.
Right.
We're gone, you know.
Can you say that your hand...
We're knocking behind Haiti's back door.
Right. All right, Jeffrey. And as well as other struggling country. A country that had electricity, toilet before the United Kingdom, a country that used to refine its oil, a country that had some of the finest and still have some of the finest minds contributing in other spaces. Jeffrey Tavares met me talk, Wilfred Rattigan. Although I don't know Mr. Lonesome very well, he has people who are listening to him and he is educating them to a great extent of just some of the atrocity. Although you want to label Lonesome as a contributor, I can contribute to something, then redemption happen. And this is where we have to practice the art of forgiveness. We have to sometimes allow the perpetrators of terrible things to also become part of the solution, because they would have understood it better than me. If I've never been in the lodge, I can only repeat the lies that I've heard. I don't know if they stand up in the lodge and take oaths to Baphomet. I don't know. I've never been. Nobody has ever invited me. But then again, to the lodge, nobody has invited me, because I guess they probably think I'm going to be a rabble rouser.
Hey, so they're right, go to.
If I have to go kiss you.
Jeffrey.
Have what? But what I'm trying to say, Jeffrey, what I'm trying to say, Jeffrey, as a serious matter, I cannot stand aside and look while they continue to crucify the prophets and to kill children just to become safe in my little domain. And as my grandmother always said, my Casbah, because as she always said, today for you, tomorrow for me, is a sure thing we are going to put our foot at the same spot. So I am calling on all well-thinking Jamaicans, home and abroad. And Jeffrey, I always say it, and I'm going to say it again. We must start to put down on paper our thoughts and how to tackle these things. We must come up with constructive and useful, effective solution. And we must have an implementation to a work plan that we will deliver to the Jamaican people, since the governments of Jamaica, and who wants to call me PMP, I said the governments, and I make no apology to none on the count, and I put on my pattern, and I come out on the yard, come out in the facade. Me not talk for no party that is not delivering to the people the means by which they can self-actualize and to have dignity, even if them not fall in at the 1%. And the 1% of people, what are we there when karma catch, you know, when there's a malignant chance on the society, all you know do is reap. But there is going to come a time when the great Almighty is going to shift this. You see all the Brian Chung we are support about, oh, we must give politicians more pay. Well, that's a lie. Politicians have 2 and 3 jobs. One more pay them one. Them have turned it into an establishment, a fallen build dynasty that all them pitney. I can't win no much seat and they have much acre land and they going poor and get rich. God now sleep and one know about that brother there. You can't bribe him, you can't pay him off, and you can't blind beside him. He's going to deliver to the Jamaican people, and I want to be a vessel to help him in that delivery. Now, I'm not Jesus. I only say our main purpose in life is to help our brothers and sisters. So if I'm not reaching down my hand to lift up somebody else, I have failed at my mandated God creative purpose in this life.
I want you to all to listen to a video by the late Congressman and Senator John Lewis. And I think this goes for Jamaica, not only America. It goes for Jamaica.
I got arrested a few times. During the 60s, I went to jail 40 times. Since I've been in Congress, I've been arrested another 5 times. And I'm probably going to get arrested again for something. I'm not suggesting that any of you should go out and get arrested. But when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just. Stand up and say something. Do something. I gave a little blood on that bridge in Selma 53 years ago. I almost died. Some of my friends and colleagues were murdered in Mississippi and other places. I'm not asking any of you to give any blood. I'm just asking you to go and vote like you never voted before. We have to vote. The vote is the most powerful nonviolent instrument or tool we have in a democratic society, and we must use it. Use it. Go out and vote. Let's go out and vote. Go and vote. Go and vote.
You know, when I heard the speech by the late John Lewis, that when you see something that's not right, you must speak up. What we do in Jamaica, if we don't come up with those stuff, we're not business with it. We don't business with it. The time has come, my fellow Jamaicans, where the whole chat, according to the Secretary of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, she told the Holiness Administration that she didn't know chat. The time for this chat must come to an end. And the time for solution must come up. Jamaica need solutions. And if they can't see that they can have a summit about the crime pandemic we have in this country, then let us as Jamaicans organize ourselves from Negril Point to Moran Point, from Galena Head Mountain to Drunkard Head Mountain, from Blue Mountain Peak to Dolphin Head Mountain. Let us organize ourselves and bring solution to the fundamental problem that we face in this country. Because every 5 years we keep on putting them back. We have been swapping black dog for monkey from 1932 until now. What have they done for this nation? More than milking the coffers of this country. Jamaica's national debt stands at $2 trillion. And out of that $2 trillion, have we gotten a brand new hospitals or some brand new schools? Out of that $2 trillion that our country is in debt, have we gotten any factories to give our people jobs? Out of that $2 trillion in debt, has the breadbasket parish of St. Elizabeth have proper running water for our farmers? Out of that $2 trillion in debt, has we built another dam to get water for us? Out of that $2 trillion in debt, is our people better off? Is our people better off? And yet every 5 years they come with this shibangarang. One will come say, I'll give you a better road. One will come say, I'll make you wear clocks. One will come and say, I'm a bro God. When will we rise up in this country and say to the political elites of this country, enough is enough? When? When we stand up in this nation for that 8-year-old who was brutally murdered When will we stand up for Donnelly Donaldson, who every time her mother go to court, the case put off and continue putting off and continue putting off? Huh? Because our justice system is stink like Riverton dump? When are we going to rise up in this nation? When are we going to demand a government of the people, for the people, and by the people? When? Luke George, we're going to wrap up.
Yeah,
Because
Mr.
honestly, our
Mr.
nation
Tavares.
is going down a slippery slope, and the time has come for us to rally around a single cause and a single purpose.
Well, we need to
I have a sister who have daughters, my nieces, my nephews, my 2 goddaughters. What kind of Jamaica are we going to leave for those children? Have we ever sit down and ask ourselves the question, what's like the Jamaica we're leaving for our children?
It will get progressively worse, Mr. Tavares, until it reaches the nostril of the Creator, and then he creates a disaster that will humble us to understand that we are not gods, but we are children of the Almighty. But it is time for self-retrospection of every Jamaican to look at the direction in which the country is going and ask yourself the question, what is my responsibility to try to pull it back from the brink of ebbing forever? And once we can individually identify that I have a responsibility to when duty is called to my fellow citizens, that I gave a commitment that I would stand up for honesty, I'll stand up for brotherhood and peace, and work diligently and creatively so that Jamaica, under God, will increase in her beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play our part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. Until I reclaim the fact that every Jamaican is my brother and sister, and I must treat with them how I want to be treated. It will be war. And so Peter Todd says, I don't care too much for peace. I want equal rights and justice for the children who never asked to come into this world, but suffer at the hands of the human devils that have plagued the society. And let me tell you the truth, Jeffrey, they're in the minority, but they have created an earthquake that is shaking all of us. And it is time that we stop existing in our own space, but collective security for sure.
Steve Hessin?
Yes, Jeff.
Your final, well, you're up for this afternoon.
Jeff,
this yes.
I went to a One Vice meeting on Sunday.
Right.
And I was saying to the guys, then we who's taxi driver and all of these things, we know a lot of things. And a lot of time we see things and those things, but who we can share it with? Because the police what you're supposed to share it with, when you share it with them see them and go and tell the person. So we live into a world where we don't know who to trust. Because we used to think once upon a time the pastors and the police was the people them was our role model then. Now the pastor worse than a lot of us, the police worse than a lot of us. So we live into a space now where you don't know who to trust. It's sad
I hear what you do. Hear what you do, Steve. write the anonymous letter, drop it off at the media house, like a bike man ride go there. Nobody no go there in a taxi. Drop it off at the commissioner's office, drop it off at the minister office, and watch if there's anything that is going to happen. We now have a serious integrity issue in the police force, in the parliament, in the security. The soldiers are becoming as awful as the police. And that is not to say that there are not good men and women in the JCF and the JDF. And this is why I must say, how is it that you ask the people to be a responsible citizen when the very institutions of government, you know the bad players in there and now weed them out. But you expect the citizen must take the lead at all times while on hide and collect on a big pay. The rank and file them cool. Them going I must have 3 commissioner of police now left the police force and go live up at Beverly Hills. Once a place only for the elite has now a place. They have also become elite. So they have sold us out for a pot of porridge, and they have got more than the pot of porridge. Like a leprechaun, they got the pot of gold. So let us be creative as citizens when we're reporting. Set up fake pages and identify time, place, and pass on that information. Now, it is the investigators in the police force must take that information and run with it until they can account to us that they will do something. They also have the telephone where you can call as an anonymous caller. You private your phone, although they have means of tracking it, but they should protect you. And that is your responsibility. Let us never see it as hopeless, but let us become creative. People used to just write a note and go drop it off a particular police station. Make sure every one of them note there. So when we go to speak in public, we can say note 1, and you disseminate it against other bodies. So the Taxis Association, and we can come and sit with the Taxis Association. We have a guy named Wilfred Rattigan and Herb Nelson, who were both former FBI agents, who could help you to become responsible. Because
Yeah, man,
one of the things that we're seeing,
Jeff supposed to
yeah,
link you up on those guys. Because let
yeah,
me tell you, I have an experience already. Where I was coming from Spanish Town, right at Boulevard on Mullins Road, we turn on Mullins Road. 2 cars come around me on the stoplight and speed off on Mullins Road. When you reach up a Seaview Drive, when you see a boom, 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 the car back shoot up the one in front. I was behind a car, I take the number of the car, and when I pass and reach half a tree and empty out the people them in the vehicle, I call 119. I was telling them. The lady was there asked me who and who in a car, how them stay, what clothes them have on. All of these crap after I give her a license plate and say the shooting by risk car do it, and you understand? They want to say like me must go there and
insensitive and ill properly trained. You have identified location and license
we
plate.
tell them
The rest,
a car license plate, a make car and a color car. And they come like you want to tell me, say, what make me never look upon the people, them and whisk close them into and all of these things?
and why you should be looking at the people then when you're supposed to try to protect yourself. Suppose that they come out and start to.
But I have 4 people, I have 4 somebody in my vehicle.
Exactly, so you have to protect life.
I'm running taxi, I'm trying to protect who in my vehicle, right? And me not even call the police with the people them in my vehicle. I never do that. When I drop them off in half a tree, I go and call them. And the lady, me just say, okay, I hang up my phone. So a lot of times people see things and people know things, but We want to have a system where we can have people who we can talk to, have that confidence into, we can share all of these things.
Imagine a citizen say, we can't even trust the very law officers. Police, soldier, citizens can't trust you now. We have a trust deficit. We have an integrity deficit. Clean up the force.
Boss, you live in Jamaica or you live overseas?
Yeah, me live here. Me a police clash all the while, man. But me have some bona fide living Gungo brethren and sisters who are working there with me. Me recognize that they are trying to make a difference. And
I talk on an association for Newman own. And I say to them, I know in Jamaica crime can cut even 80%. Senior Soup, retired Senior Soup, Ratcliffe Lewis asked me, oh, and them thing there. And I said to him, Mr. Ratcliffe, Spanish Town was on a worse place when Harry Bongo come in Spanish Town. And Harry Bongo was in Spanish Town, and for 8 months, there was not even one gunshot fire. And Harry Bongo was one police out of how many thousand police. So you want to tell me if Harry come to Spanish Town and cool Spanish Town, for 8 months, there was no gunshot fire in Spanish Town. And the same police hierarchy and the same politician them fight him out of Spanish Town. And as Harry leave out of Spanish Town, them keep party. And the next day them start kill people. What you saying to me?
yeah, man, yeah, that man down at Denham Town near Mr. Gray. Where Desmond Mackenzie never want to work with him because the man not go visit Mr. Mackenzie office. And he was transferred. That is how the sons of former slaves take them overcoming with no great humility. Desmond Mackenzie asked for the transfer of the SSP because the SSP don't take talk from the politician but enforce the law. In this country, when you stand up for justice and what is right, you're labeled and blacklisted. And yes, many of us will end up losing our life. But you know what I say, my brother? I never come here to be nobody ventriloquist, and nobody go and drive no fear into me. So if a boy or a girl want me to go meet my maker and them feel they're so empowered to do that, who dead first get the longest rest. But I shall not
believe in that.
Compromise on the thought that as a citizen I will demand of everybody that what you say, you live by those fundamental principles.
Boss, like
and
you, we
that
need
is
to meet
where
up with boss. You know? We need to meet up.
anytime.
Let me tell you
anytime. But you see when me don't talk, you hear me talk, me have to have 10 solutions. Me not just talk, you know.
No,
solution oriented.
The problem always be there, but is to find a solution.
Yeah, man. And you know, one of the things that we learn when we learned it as incapacity development, we learned it at the university, we learned it elsewhere. It's called participatory learning activities, where again you create the problem tree. At the root of it, you identify the root cause, you identify what it has done, and then you identify the solution, and then you work out a work plan as to what you want to take on. So if 10 of us is here, not everybody are going to come on Jeffrey program, come talk. So that is going to be your instrument to play. And next man now, he might have two little solution where we never think about. But you ever hear them say, even the fool have him there in court, even the man that we think is so uneducated can make a Horace Chang look like him never even go a basic school. And I tell you this, my brother, check the qualification of the people who are in the current parliament and see if we are getting value for money.
That is no. That is no hide and seek. That is no.
Okay.
That is no. And me can tell you, I am not a politician, but from a labor right coming, the country going down.
Well, you know, the truth of the matter is that the Jamaica Labour Party, like the PMP, should go and bury themselves
Long time.
under the biggest tidal wave. When you allow a little youth from Trelawney, who used to walk barefoot go school, and created a world wave that caused everybody to look at us. And when me look on ABC News, I hear them talk about my country of Jamaica and how we rob Usain Bolt. And the thing is that you hear people say, you think he might go get back the money? Hey, well, you know what? You know what? Boy, civil
But is it
disobedience, them should be happy that more of us have remained civil in how we conduct ourselves because of our love for this country. Because when you go put down that little money there to secure your mother and father pension, your children's future, and somebody could take away your money, why them never take away Mr. Holness money?
You mad?
Why them never take away Mark Golden money?
You
How
mad?
come them never tried with Peter Bunting money?
And
How
Peter
come them
Bunting
never
and Mark
tried
Golden
with
have money.
How come them never tried with Nigel Clark money? But Usain Bolt must suffer
and
the loss of
how comes he never tried with the man all him just go around and yam?
how that.
The Governor General.
Me tell you already, Jeffrey, I met the man call me into disrepute, you know, cause
You know this
me
and I use it, sir.
never rate that the man there from the Aki scene. Cause if you can left the church, so go take up one position, and as the senior man we left the church, you were a president at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but you are going to make a title make you can show compassion. And the Bible says if a man thief because he hungry, you must show him love and feed him too. And you could have make a man go down without saying to that man, please come and pick and ensure that you and your family can eat. I rate that the man there.
And you
I
are
rate him none at all.
And a 6 months.
And we are paying $442
And
million
that's why the
a
judge,
year.
that's why the judge them should get no peer because you have not dispensed justice. You are as guilty. And the whole heap of thieving lawyer them were left university, like the one where write about why people must get paid. Enough of them make them money. You see where crime pay, crime steal. Look at the richest set of lawyers in this country and look at who are their clients. So the whole of them is these uncircumcised Philistines don't have the metal or the mittel or the mantle to talk to the rest of us. They are the ones who have benefited.
Because crime pays, them do
that
all
is one of the
crime.
biggest crane industry in here. Yes. Them set gunman a road and make sure witness dead. And then them go to Obia man and the Obia man, when the Obia man voodoo can't work, him get a boy from a next community to shoot the man then.
Yeah, man.
And that is what gunmen in this country stand for. Shooting your own poor brothers. And the gun where you have more value than you can you be more hungry than you see any success. The whole of them.
Can't buy a gun.
Jah is merciful. But the poor man allow himself to be suckered into a situation where he goes to jail and they're there for months and days. You have some as them come out this week, them go back next week, and them have somebody down there where they're missing. Sad, sad state of affairs.
That's how the country run.
My God.
Some boy tell us I can't go back to jail tomorrow morning. Why am I down there? You know somebody, man?
3 square meals a day no master to a bill. And the water they make enough money off of them because them take all the phone, the ganja,
some of them have wife down there, some of them have wife down there.
Yeah.
And some of them
Then
have husband down there too, man.
Look here, my brother. Homosexual is banned in this country. Everybody is righteous when them are gonna talk about people's sexual choice. But everybody when I go across the border automatically are homosexual. Them should have given me a job at the other end of the border. You're homosexual, I'm going to send you some of the biggest, thickest boys to sort you out. You have to show me that you're using something that will burn people, will murder people, but that is what you're using to get into the United States of America. Shame on you. You are always that way, covering it up. You're a liar, but you're exposed though. Nobody can ever get me to write a letter to support them. To support that, I know that they were practicing that. I said, you can't get me to do that. And any justice of the peace who writes that letter, knowing that that person has never had that sexual orientation, you are guilty just as the person you're writing the letter for.
But my big brother,
Can't get me for right.
You're in Jamaica, and you want a gun license, and you put it on it, say you're homosexual, them give you an instant.
Well, them gay because them want to kill you quicker. Because the same man, you never know, say the same man where gay can be the same man for to tell somebody say you have it.
Yeah, but
and you say you're dead. Sometimes we set up derelict for other people for dead, you know.
Yeah, but sometimes through them they look me now. When me tell them say me a homosexual, I see a man them look me. Sad to say.
Well,
Steve,
make sure say you have, make sure you have some vinegar. You look here, Steve. Make sure you have a bottle of vinegar, because them now give you pepper spray. Make sure you have some vinegar with some pepper seed in there, with little salt.
Yeah, because they're not going to give us gun license.
Yeah, man.
Gentlemen.
But all criminals in here get recommendation from minister to get it. And them people, them not no shame, you know. Them not no shame. And you know what me hate? You know what me hate, Steve? When you hear some big intelligent people justify the action of the few. Oh, that person, him give this and him do that, so it right. Right. There's no wrong. But make the little barefoot boy from down at Tivoli and on it, God do something.
I was in Alpha Tree years ago. And one of my taxi cronies, four gay passing. And the man said, what you gave them? Fire. And one of them said, what you saying? Speak properly, what you saying? And he would take up a big stone and throw in a man glass windshield. So 3 police was there and police them go and hold on upon the guys. Yeah, them let me go. You can't talk to me. So when the police get bad upon the man, so go in and raise a car, who you? You see, the police leave right at Alpha Tree bus terminus and drive to go down by the police station. Me say to the guys, come in a car and me carry the guy down to the police station. When you go in a station, when you look, you see about 20 big high-end vehicle driving. You have some man in them necktie, them come like them are SSP or PPS or who see me.
You see me, me see you.
And I say, gentlemen, when the man them come in, the man want a big police, big police, say to the man, say, what is the problem? So a little counsel will say, him do the air police. Okay, I will take care of it. One next big boy come in and dip in his pocket and take out $15,000. I said, how much is that piece of shit to fix? And him say about 10,000. The man take out 15,000 and throw it on the ground. Police, let me tell you, corporal, sergeant, and soup was there. And police just throw 15,000 up on the ground and say, take that shit and fix a vehicle. And him and the batty boy them step out. And me say police them in a station come like them stand up in a one pool of water. Them can't say nothing, them mouth open like a ship. And the council was said to the guy, well, you know, take it up and go and fix a vehicle. Yeah, man.
No. The police are complicit. You damage my vehicle, and if you decide to settle out of court, and you have vandalized my vehicle, the police must enforce the law and allow the courts to exercise justice. And if that is how you're going to come in there and feel that your money answers all problems, it is the police duty that they must enforce because you have committed a crime. You have committed malicious destruction of property. Whereas your taximan friend should I say the people in business, because by virtue of you not having the empirical evidence to say what they are, you have now labeled them, so them could have come back at you and say, oh, I'm charging you for defamation of character.
But what
So we
I'm
have to be
saying,
very
the
careful.
police, them
We
who
have to
carry
be
down a
very
guy,
careful how we
all the police,
approach our indifference.
the 3 police who carry down a guy, them, the police, them was so ashamed. The police say, we can't do nothing. Them man, they are bigger head away. And them man, they, you understand, big SSP. You can't
No,
do
sir.
nothing.
The law is the law. And if that is the case, you don't need to be in the police force because you are an enforcer of when a crime takes place. I had that discussion this Sunday where a situation arose where 2 sisters are in a family dispute. And the police said, although the money might have been paid back, I still have to do what I have to do once I have collected a statement of reporting the crime of simple larceny and say to the judge that a settlement was reached by the complainant and the accused. You have to enforce what you got training at the police academy to do. And that it should be irrespective of anybody in a necktie ambition tree who come from upper St. Andrew and have them private fetish.
Let me
No, 2
ask
them are
you.
bigger,
Hold on
bigger
there.
police, you know.
Hold on there. Let
It
me
no
ask
matter who them want to be. You are not excluded, and that is the problem. We think that big people must do anything. We have given them the green light to do anything in this country because them have a name and a title. But as long as you have played it by the goddamn books, it is the lawyers and the police federation must back you up if you don't have a big rank to ensure that what you did was right by virtue of applying the law of Jamaica. There's no 2 law, you know. Yes, some people born equal more than others, but we have to change that, brother. We have to change that.
Luke, let me ask you.
Anyway,
you have to go. We're gonna wrap up now. But I ask this question. Tomorrow morning, or tomorrow at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock Jamaica time, former President Donald John Trump will be arraigned in a Florida court for 37 counts of whatever criminality. Would you see that in our lifetime in Jamaica?
No. Yeah, man, it will happen. But not right now. It will eventually happen. You're going to have a set of indigo children who are going to come up. And as I said, it will get progressively worse. But look, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Charles, Mr. French, Mr. Macron. Do you recognize, Jeffrey, all of these people are behaving like they are demagogues? They commit atrocity.
But you forgot.
They commit atrocity.
You forgot to call the one in the Caribbean name.
Andrew Holness.
Who be like he's a democrat? Yes.
Mayor Motley. Ralph Gonzalez. Look. These people, we have given them too much entitlement to feel as if they're like the South African pastor who said Jesus said his feet must not touch the ground and his members prostrate and allow him to walk on their backs, women and men. So I am telling you, the leaders them have become drunk with power and the people have become drunk with stupidity. It is we who give them those power. But you see, if we're going to put up a Jeffrey Tavares, a Micah, a Steve, or a Luke George Cooke, them are going to say you can't get hungry man food for carry because I'm going to name it up before I reach. Well, sometimes take a chance, man, we the hungry man, because we have more backbone. And we have more honesty.
Conscience. We have more conscience, you know, so
we
used to hungry.
Oh.
We used to hungry, so we understand what hungry is all about.
We're still hungry. Because one thing in market, dirty girl in Jamaica, $400. Take out milk, chicken butter $380. And chicken are almost $400 a pound. We still a beer hungry, but here it not stop we from give with neighbor and go along like we boasty with it. When the worm them a dig we at night time and we just start make song to Congo worm. Me and me worm a jam. Yeah. So we're still going through it. We're still going through the hardship there, but the land is green and the sun is always shining. I believe in the capacity of the Jamaican people. Do they? The Jamaican people are like a battered woman who has normalized in the wheel of control that she is now powerless and the abuser has all the power. So Stockholm Syndrome have stepped in. I pray tonight and for every day after this that the wind of righteousness will blow to our back and that the voice of God becomes the voice of the people. And we will stand up, not as labor rights or PMP, but as Jamaican and say enough is enough. It doesn't matter on which political side of the fence injustice happening. Injustice anywhere is the threat to justice everywhere. And people must stand up and be accounted and stop repeat the garbolatry that we have been fed by political leaders, religious leaders, private sector leaders, parents who perpetuate wrongdoing in their own home. Parents who do that. We must take collective responsibility for the problem and the root problems that we're seeing in Jamaica. Because I might not directly go out there and do it, but by virtue of being silent, I have become a silent majority.
Thank you very much. Luke George Cooke, human rights activist.
Tonight it look like me had 1-2 minutes to drink. You wait till my mother done with me when she hears me the back for your program.
So look.
They're not gonna kill you. They're not gonna kill you. Yes, sir.
We need to link up, we need to meet up, and we have a lot of things to talk about.
My number is 842-4725.
Alright,
me not rely upon. No, me not go through God forget to Jesus. Me no want Jeffrey go tell you say I give, so me I give you 842-4725. 842-4725. 842-4725.
Take that with me.
Ask Jeffrey. Ask Jeffrey. But
no. Steve, I'll give it to you off here.
But okay, Jeffrey, I would like for every Jamaican to light a candle one day this week in solidarity with the pain that parents feel. I would like us to knit a healing quilt with all of the children that have suffered from violence. I would like to see a school patrol monitor in strategic corners alongside with the JCF and the JDF. And I would like for us to organize how children go back to community by being supported by adults who will go and accompany them home until every last child is secure in their home. And I'd like for citizens to stand up and speak out against abuse against children. I would like to see the students at all the universities studying psychology being assigned to school to help children to get over some of them scars and the pains that they are I'd like committees of psychology, pastors, counselors, police, parents association who will respond to a child. I'd like to know that there are state-run facility like the National Children Home that can produce productive citizens while they're in the care of the state. I would like to see the men in Jamaica form a mighty 1 million man march against violence against women and children, the disabled, and against men too, because oftentimes violence are perpetrated against men who are perceived or deemed as weaklings in the society, and that we form ourselves into a watchdog group where we can turn up at places in numbers, and we, like street pastors, we know that children are going home and we can walk with them and we can go in and share stories about our own hardship and challenges and mentor them to become men and women. And I'm not asking anybody to join these groups who have fetish for children, because even you are going to come after. I'd like to see where you get reports at the children's services, the CDA, that people are saying is woefully lacking, and at the abuse registered. I'd like to see the CISOCA, the Center for Sexual Offences and Abuse, be rebranded, and we put more caring people in there who basically respond, but will hold the hands of a child that has experienced sexual and other violence and hold that child hand till they can start to run and stand for themselves. And I would like to see Jamaica land we love stop being reactive but being proactive. All of us, all the money we want to send, come give on a party them and a support campaign. Send it come pay for school bus. Send it come pay for the warders. Send it come ensure that cameras are put in central places. And once something is reported, the police can now go and track and see routes, possibly get the video feed as to where these people branch off. And be quick on responding so we can prevent more children.
Yes.
Like my young sister from dying. I have not called her name because the pain that you feel as an individual in this society and the pain that you feel as a parent, my God, I don't want my children to bury me. I don't want my kids to bury me. And so, I say to a guy, boy, if you really want to make me into a monster, trouble my pit with them. And the women and men and people who provide money, but people who commit this heinous crime, man, I would love to be the man when the hanging starts.
George, there's a question in the chat room here. Who should we vote for in the next election? But before that, George gone. Steve, you there?
Yeah, man, I'm right here.
We're gonna wrap up now. The person asked who should we vote for in the next election. I guess you should vote for your country. Vote for Jamaica. You see? The two parties are down there. I can't tell you who to vote for and who not to vote for.
Two of them are the same thing. No better Erin, no better Baron.
Here you go. We need to vote for Jamaica. Stand up for this piece of rock. What we need to do is send a clear and present message to the two political parties. They call an election and just don't vote. People may say I'm being stupid.
You know, Sir Jeff, me a campaign for something, and me tell one guy, some of them say, we're going to campaign to stay away from election.
You never said that.
No, but no people agree with it.
True.
No people agree with it because them find out say the two sides not going nowhere.
Yes. We're going to wrap up now, Steve. On the behalf of our good friend Luke George, who came on, Luke George Cooke, but human rights activist, Steve Hessen, taxi operator, and a member of the One Voice Taxi Group. I'm going to end with a song, and I hope that YouTube don't strike me. Please do not. I do not own the copyrights of this song by Ernest Smith. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Jamaica time, that's 12 o'clock US time, I will be speaking to the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Lloyd B. Smith. He will be my special guest on the Talk Tuesdays on Root 96.1 FM. It will be live here on the Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. We'll be speaking about the National Integrity Commission and the Code of Ethics by Parliamentarians. My condolence to the family of that 80-year-old. I'm trying not to cry on air because I have two goddaughters. I have nieces and nephews. And I have cousins. And it hurts. It hurts deeply. It really hurt. Is this the Jamaica we want to leave for our children? If they should call election tomorrow morning, are we going to vote for party or are we going to vote for this nation? Are we going to stand up to the two political parties and say, listen, we will not vote. You have left the two parties of this country in $2 trillion debt. What has Jamaica gained from that $2 trillion debt? What have we gained? Nothing. My fellow Jamaicans, both home and abroad, our nation is bleeding from within. Our people needs help. And when you see a nation can't protect its own children, I pray and I ask God please cover my nieces and nephews and my two goddaughters. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, you coming and condemning the brutal murder of that 80-year-old. I'm not saying that you should go out there and try and stop, but Prime Minister, get outside help. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Mark Jefferson Golding, Linton Patrick Allen, or Patrick Linton Allen, Jamaica is going down a slippery slope. The nation is bleeding from within. Our children are dying. Are we going to stand by and see the future for our nation being sniffed out and no justice? That's what's going to happen in this country. Have a good night, Steve.
Okay, boss.
All the best, my brother.
You're my big brother.
To all my viewers, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares.
You see, wait for the song.
Topic. May God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love. Go to YouTube and find this song, As We Fight for the Power and the Greed, or As We Fight One Another, by Ernest Smith. And the next one by Burning Spear, My Country Don't Sell Out. Good night, everyone. Jamaica, 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 Jamaica. Where are we going?
Do you need graphic design services? Or maybe you need branding for your business? How about multimedia production services? Contact Browns Media and Graphics at 876-877-1870. Browns Media and Graphics, developing your ideas, creating your style.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Do you want to talk about what's happening in your community or share your thoughts on national issues? Then tune in to Make We Talk Tuesdays with yours truly, Jeffrey Tavares. This and every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Join the conversation by calling 876-372-8446 or 876-225-9478 on YouTube at Roots FM Jamaica and Facebook at Roots FM JA. That's Make We Talk this and every Tuesday on Roots 96.1 FM, the voice of the inner city.
Do you need graphic design services? Or maybe you need branding for your business? How about multimedia production services? Contact Browns Media and Graphics at 876-877-1870. Browns Media and Graphics, developing your ideas, creating your style.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk.